Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Stammers. I'm one of the co-founders of the Women in Lighting project. And alongside with my other co-founder, Martin Lupton, our social media manager, Katia Colavia, and our sponsor, Former Lighting, we're really excited that we're launching a Women in Lighting T-shirt design competition. So we've got a couple of judges and we wanted to interview them. We're a bit sad we're not interviewing them in the way we would in person. Zhuang here is one of our lovely judges. She's in New York at the moment, and we've never met in person before. I hope we will in the future. But we've asked Ish to help judge the competition, because not only is she a woman in lighting, but she's also a kick-ass illustrator and artist. So thank you for being part of the project. And we're going to do the interview as if we would, so it's along the lines of the other Women in Lighting project interviews. So I'm going to kick off by asking you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background and how you got into lighting.
Okay, so actually my undergrad is in sculpture, and then when I was at school, I realized like lighting is such an important medium that help you, form the space, reshape your experience, and so on. So that I actually use my illustration portfolio to get myself the first lighting design job. My boss was like, "Oh, you seem to be able to understand, how space and object interact with time and light." So yeah, that's how I get into the lighting, and then I start to be interested in like how designer in developed country do they work differently based on like those article I read on like magazine and stuff. I'm like, this is time for me to get more educated, so I applied for the program, lighting design program at Parsons New School, and then got myself a job here. Here I am in New York. Yeah.
When I first started in lighting, it was much more important that people knew how to draw. Lots of people would hand draw concepts and visuals and things, which is quite unusual. I think that's probably quite rare that people do that now.
Yeah, it's like all computer render from, Dialux, AGI, 32, stuff like that. And I think that's a good thing because the tool you use also impact how you think, that you look at stuff in 3 dimension, that give you more opportunity to explore.
So can you tell us a bit about the work you do at the moment, the sort of projects you're working on? Do you have a favorite type, or do you work on sort of everything?
So currently I'm working at Lumen Architecture. It's a New York-based lighting design company. And then we did different kind of project like anybody else. So when I was younger, I used to be like fascinated with like historical building lighting, because you're using, new technology, you lit it a way it's never been done before. And then like later in my career, I realized actually, I think like more important thing is to find a team that supports you, understand your value, and then also work with the client that listen to your professional opinions, so there's less struggle in helping them basically.
Well, what's your favorite sort of area of lighting design? Like, if you could pick hotels, offices, museums, what would you pick?
I would say when I was younger, I used to be actually dislike office lighting because I feel like it's kind of boring and it's repetitive. But then after being in this industry in US for more than a year, I realized there are actually a lot of creative things you could do, like beyond the typical stuff. So now I don't really have anything that I dislike, I would say. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm asking different questions. Sorry about that. Can you share some thoughts on the future of lighting technology? Where do you think we're heading?
I think we sort of talked about this a little bit before you asked this question. But yeah, I was saying in the future there will be more like evidence-driven design instead of at the age everybody use the same MR16 or those kind of lamp that what the outcome was based on the project you have done. But in the future there will be more uh, luminaire you could choose from, and a different way of examining your design and different way of like convincing your client who is all the software. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, if you had unlimited time and unlimited money, is there something you would like to research or a sort of, dream project you'd like to develop?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I believe we all do. So when I was at school and studying my undergrad, the sculpture, we had a studio, which is basically a factory environment with fluorescent tubes in the ceiling. So you work on something for like months in that little dark room with the light only coming from above, and then all of a sudden when you at the final exhibition time, you bring your work to the gallery environment. It's like completely different. I wasn't like picture how other people would look at the work, as the final. So I think if I had chance, to improve the work environment of artists, especially young professionals, they have lack of experience in, picturing how their final work will be exhibited. I think that's important to have a, powerful setting of light and the ability to control and then recreate those things, practicing themselves. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's a
Help.
really, really good point. It's a really good point. It's always done in some sort of dingy room somewhere, yeah, with no daylight probably. But what project are you most proud of, and can you tell us why?
Proud of. Back to the time I work in Beijing, like sometimes the client you have is not really architect, especially Asian countries. You work with the owner of the project, but they have their own vision, which might not be serving their own actually most interest. They have those beautiful park landscape, and they want us to redo the lighting there, but they just want the light to look exactly like those lamps they had like 20 years ago. But like I understand they sometimes just being conservative and not really understanding what they really need. They complain about the light level being too dark, but like the way the lamp is structured, those with halogen lamp, you get some of dark spot, right under the fixture. So we had to like explain, yeah, we could keep the look, but have to be modified a little bit. So you have some uplight for the trees, with LED, and then you have some downlight for the pathway that is like uniformly lit. But those things are just, how important the communication skill is as a designer. I realized that, yeah.
Mm.
So I think eventually, yeah, we did a good job convincing them to change from just do things, like 20 years ago to something new. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? Would you say what's the biggest challenge that you think you've had to overcome in your lighting design career so far?
I
Apart,
don't know if this is useful for others, but like as uh, growing up in China, in Asian country, when I was younger, I just like a very, very shy person. I like doing painting. Another reason is because I don't need to talk, and if somebody likes it, they buy it. But as designer, it's a completely different story. So the first difficulty I had coming to the US is at school. You have to present your own assignment. If it's a team project, maybe somebody else talk for your work. But if it's your own work, you should be able to speak your own voice. And then I found it difficult to begin with.
so you've come a long way because you're now doing this interview. So that's
Yeah, it's like language barrier and cultural barrier. You just have to clean your thoughts, be confident, which is sometimes difficult.
yeah. Oh, you seem to be doing very well at it.
It improved over time.
Is there a person in lighting who's been influential in your career so far?
There's a lot of them for sure. Like other good designers. I think people inspire me a lot. Like all those different people that I met over the years. There was one person was very impressive when I first started as lighting designer in Beijing. There was a same landscape project I was talking about. So I met this Japanese designer. His name is, I believe, Uchihara. If I pronounce it wrong, I hope. But anyway, he's famous for like doing all those historical lighting projects, and then we went to the job site at like late in the night, and then we stay in the job site till like 3 a.m., almost like 4 a.m. And then he had to catch a flight back to Japan at 6 a.m. And I was like, this guy is actually at his like 50 something, and he's still so like passionate about his job. So at that point I realized, okay, this is a career that somebody could, dedicate his or her life. You could just work till you retire. It doesn't really, has to be, yeah.
But how does lying itself inspire you?
You just simply cannot create like an impressive, like meaningful thing without good use of light. I sometimes feel like the job of lighting designer is similar to like magicians, that you carefully thought through all those possibilities, and then you create a setting that's like behind the scene, and then the outcome would be very beautiful, but like you barely realize what's the other techniques that you used. Yeah.
Do you see a bit of a sort of synergy between your drawing and painting and lighting design?
Oh, sorry, could you repeat the question?
Do you see some sort of synergy between your drawing and artwork and lighting? Do you think it's similar in the sort of process?
Yeah, there are similarities in process, and of course there are there are things that are more difficult in reality. Like first of all, of course, budget. That in a drawing you could you don't need to fight with physics. In reality, you do. And also I feel design is like you provide services to people that you have to understand what they need instead of what yourself is interested in. So of course, as illustrator, I have a lot of freedom in control of like all kinds of options.
Yeah,
And
it's a good point. Okay, you've only got
yeah.
2 questions to go, all right, and then it's over. So we started the project because even though we knew there were, almost 50-50 men and women in the lighting industry, we felt that women were very underrepresented. And in fact, last year when we were at Light Fair, we took a photo of all the past keynote speakers at Light Fair, and there was this whole wall of sort of male faces, and I think 3 women, and it was a really good sort of illustration of why we started the project. Why do you think that this is a thing? Why does it still happen? And do you think we can change it?
So you said Light Fair?
Yeah.
So, okay. Actually, I did not go to Light Fair, but I can imagine that. So, of course, there's a lot of reason behind this. I actually feel in the Western countries it's already better, but there's still a long way to go. But like in my own country, I would say it happens so often that like the project manager are women, and then we go to the presentation and stuff like that with boss, which is a man, and then the client just simply ask question to the boss, like just ignore, even though we are the one that actually knows the project, work on the project. It just I feel sometimes it's good to just take responsibilities, like and then people will recognize you and then remember your work, and then yeah.
By doing a good job, you can sort of improve what people think. Yeah.
Yeah, I say just like if there's a chance that you could speak, you should speak. Yeah, that's my the class I've learned so far working in the US. Because back in China it was always like that boss talk. If he wants to talk, he talk. But I think it's just not fair. If you work on it, you know what's going on. You could answer their question. You should answer their question, so they know you're part of the team.
Well, hopefully, at the end of last year, we went to Asia and we interviewed women in Singapore, Shanghai, Bangkok, and Hong Kong. I can't remember where we went, but hopefully that will raise the sort of the profile of those women a bit within the countries. Lastly,
I feel women are just too humble. We are too humble. We like do the job and just be quiet in the background. Yeah, that's not good.
So that has to change. That has to change. We need to be sort of prouder of what we do. Do you have a message for other women in lighting then?
yeah, definitely share experience. Like sometimes I have friend back in China that they have friend trying to get into design industry, and then just not knowing if there's a future there for them, and just encourage those young professions to continue. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to press stop because we're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.